I think the right way to live is to do whatever the fuck you want. And that is the quickest path to spiritual growth. The only one who can give or not give me permission to do anything is I. Most of my life, at any moment, I have a feeling that what I do now is not what I actually want to do. In other words, I always procrastinate in one way or another. This is because I'm afraid to do what I actually want. And I'm glad that I experience some righteous wrath about this right now. What do you think? Yay. Yes, we can call you. It's not the best of quality. It's okay.
It's not about my right
It's
now.
okay. I can hear you. Yeah.
But you can hear me.
Yeah.
Great, great. So, what do you think about what I wrote?
I don't think it's a very balanced perspective.
All right. Tell me your perspective.
So my perspective on, I think it's a bit of a dangerous perspective that, what was it that you said? Like, hang on, just let me reread the question. I can do whatever the fuck, I think the right way to live is to do whatever the fuck you want. And I don't think that's the right perspective, because because the way the human works is that we have lots of unconscious ideas that are happening. And in those unconscious ideas, we've often repressed our shadow. And so if you go and do whatever the fuck you want, you might think that you know what's happening, but you might be opening the doors to let unconscious injury and unconscious shadow out. So I don't think it's like, so say, I'll tell you in a way that happened with me. Was what happened with me when I was younger and got into spirituality and got these ideas is that because of my neurodiversity and because of experiences and trauma that I had as a child at school, I was in a way scared of putting myself out there in the world in terms of work. So when my teacher would say to me, in every moment you have to do exactly what you feel like doing, I thought that it meant not doing exams, not doing work. So I did like this course, and I was like, oh well, I don't feel like doing the exams, so I'll do the course, but I won't pass the course because I won't do the exams because I don't feel like it. Whereas it wasn't true. I actually wanted to do the course and wanted to pass it, but because of this unconscious fear that I had of failing and being in trouble like I had at school, I thought that what I wanted to do, I thought what my heart was telling me to do was to do the course without doing exams, but it was actually old shadow unconditioned stuff happening. So I think this idea of doing whatever the F you want is a dangerous idea, because unless you've been through years and years of therapy and investigation of the shadow, I would say that it's not really what you want to do. It's actually, you'll begin to act out unconscious tendencies.
Let me clarify what I mean, because I think I mean not exactly what you think
Okay.
right now. I think that everyone has like God-given, we might say, internal compass that you just know what's right and what's wrong. You might see it through some lenses of your through some fork of your education, experience, upbringing, etc. But deep down, you know what's right, what you want to do, and this is not. I don't mean do what the act on your impulses. For example, you might be angry about someone, you want to hit him, but you think what you think right thing to do is not hit anybody unless they are hit to you first, right? So this I call you actually what I call this is actually we don't want to hit him, like maybe the right way to express it the right way to live is to do what you think is right every time. But
I think that
yes.
that I mean, like, I do think there is truth in like really becoming present, and there is this natural flow, but you have to be like really, really, really self-conscious in order to get that right. So I mean, like the teachings of Roger and Ramesh would be, in every given moment, do exactly what you feel like doing, knowing there's nobody doing anything. So like what they're pointing to is to come back to your natural flow. So there is like this flow of being, but I think you have to be so perceptive of yourself and also perceptive of what's other people's thoughts and feelings. So when I first had shifts, I didn't realize that I was actually hearing and feeling what other people want. So if I go close to someone and that person has a strong want, my body picks up their want, but it's not actually something I want. So if I go close to somebody that has a desire to eat a chocolate bar, then I'll pick up the desire to have the chocolate bar, because I think that's the way a lot of the time our psychic abilities, that we all have it, work, is that we go close to another person and we feel what they think or what they want, whatever's happening in them, but we feel it as our own because it appears like, I want a chocolate bar. So they're thinking, I want a chocolate bar. So you have that thought and that feeling of, I want a chocolate bar. So,
right, you have to separate what you want and what is external to you.
Yeah, but you know, that's not, that is very, very advanced on the human level.
Yes, but
and somebody with more narcissistic tendencies is going to think they're more advanced than they are. I'm not saying that you have narcissistic tendencies, but I'm talking to thousands of people now, so there's going to be a good percentage. So the people that have more narcissistic tendencies will think that they're way more advanced than what they are. The people with less narcissistic tendencies, not necessarily less narcissistic tendencies, but then you'll get the insecure people that think they're way less advanced than what they are. So they'll, you know, like, it's very tricky, this part, because, you know, how do you judge how self-conscious you are and how much of yourself you know and you understand?
Why do you think? Why do you say you have to be careful? It's in order to not harm outside world.
And
right?
Yourself, both internal and external.
All right. Then I have a different view of this. I think that I don't want to live like Jains, like Indian teaching Jainism, where they don't walk at night because they're afraid to step on some critters, some insects, or whatever. I don't want to live like this.
Yeah.
I think that at least one very good, if not the best path, at least for me, to live is to just do whatever you want. It might be not the most conscious things. I realize that I'm not like enlightened master, that most things that comes to me, they come to me through some, maybe some of them come from my higher self, but I see them most frequently through the lens of my conditioning, through the lens of my egoic desires, as you might say. But nevertheless, I think it's a good path to do what you think is right anyway, even if it might be like judged by other people, judged by society, etc.
Yeah, I think this is very tricky ground, and yeah, I don't know if I've said my piece on it, but I think yeah, it's very tricky, this part. Like in the end, you kind of like always acting out exactly what you want, even if it's going through many delusions of not wanting it and wanting it. So like yeah, that's it. But that's complex.
And every moment is exactly what I actually planned, even if I don't realize it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with this. On some level, but on another level, what I want to say is that the right way to live is to be without pity. Is to not be afraid to harm anybody, not be afraid to like do some bad things that bring you bad karma. Just do whatever you want to let whatever be happen. If you let others be harmed, let you be harmed. Either you will get what you want or you will learn. That's my perspective right now, which I feel strongly about. I wanted to express it because I see that, especially in the Western society, it's like everybody is afraid right now to like think. Not only in Western society, but in Western society in its own way, everybody is afraid just to let all the people do what they want. And I think, for example,
well, the problem is that we've got in our society is that the reason that the fear maybe arises is because we have a lot of unconscious people, and if you're higher on narcissism with lower empathy, if you're higher on narcissism and you let go and you decide to do whatever you want, not thinking about other people, it can be so destructive for society. I don't know what percentage of narcissists we have in our society, but they say it's increasing. So we try to use social control, and it works to an extent. I understand what you mean, but in a way this is beside the point from non-duality. I do think it is dangerous, and I think if you're more on the side of narcissism, so if you're lower empathy, then I think this is a disastrous idea. But the thing is if you're higher on narcissism, you won't realize that you're higher on narcissism because you'll project that you have empathy. Like, that's a really hard one to tell. So that would be my perspective on it. I understand that it's an exploration for you, and yeah, and I understand that it's maybe like empowering, but I think it has got the potential to be very destructive and dangerous. It maybe's got the potential to be very liberating, but I don't know about that. But the point is like non-duality. So really what we're talking about here is who is looking at that person that's now deciding that they're going to do exactly what they want. Like, who is looking at that? Like, so consciousness isn't judging either way, whether you do what you want or don't do what you want, whether you follow social rule or you don't follow social rule. Like, who is looking and experiencing that? And that is the true freedom. It's not about whether you follow this new path of doing what you want or not doing what you want.
Yes, but in order to like see who you really are, I think you need to like cut through your conditioning, cut through your traumas, etc. And
but not necessarily. I think that there needs to be a settling down of that person, but there can be traumas and there can be freedom. Like the looking is here right now. So I do think that investigating the person and releasing traumas and reconditioning yourself is a really good, healthy thing on the human level, and does create less seeking. But even with seeking or without seeking, with trauma or without trauma, the consciousness is still looking at that person. There's consciousness here right now that is experiencing that person, that is good or bad, or doing what it wants or not doing what it wants. There is empty looking now, and there is that sense of I am.
Would you say that this consciousness have freedom to choose, free will?
No, consciousness doesn't have free will, but it creates free will in the dream. So it seemingly creates free will in the person. But consciousness doesn't have any personified qualities. It's beyond the human qualities. So free will is something that belongs to the human realm, and it belongs between humans. And we project onto animals that they maybe don't have free will. I don't know what that would be different for each people. And that inanimate objects don't have free will. But so it's something that belongs in the human realm. Consciousness is watching the human, which seemingly has free will, or has the idea of free will. So consciousness is beyond that, and the I am is prior or beyond that.
It seems to me that like humans by themselves doesn't, like biological machine, the body, it doesn't really have free will, or a lot of free will anyways, because it's very mechanical, very
totally.
But
it's an appearance of free will. The human only has the appearance, yeah.
But there is freedom to create things. There is ultimately freedom to create, freedom, free will, but it comes not from human, it comes from consciousness, God. You don't think so, right?
Well, consciousness creates everything, so it also creates the desire to be trapped and to be suffering. So consciousness is the creator of all things. So it creates the idea to become free and to free yourself, and it also creates the idea to be trapped and to be suffering and to be caught in an illusion. But it's not consciously creating like we imagine, it's spontaneously creating, but it's creating through laws and rules, seemingly. Confusing.
So you think the consciousness creating, but it's creating through like physical laws, just mechanical laws.
It's seemingly it creates that way, but in this moment it's actually creating spontaneously without any rules. But seemingly it creates through rules, otherwise everything would be chaos. So it has rules, so the human has to grow, has to drink, has to eat, has to do all these things, thinks, like there's all these mechanical rules which happen in all humans. There's this slow evolution seemingly through time, but actually right now it's actually creating spontaneously without any of these mechanical rules. It's really contradictory.
Right, but for example, right now as the world appears to me, it is a certain way and not some other way. Isn't that because God created this moment to be this way, because he chose to create this moment to be exactly this way?
But you're personifying it by saying he chooses. I mean, that's okay to say he chooses, like that's a way of language of speaking, but there is no him choosing. It's just creation happening. Consciousness doesn't have any personified qualities. That's all in the human realm. The human has choice. The human made up the idea of choice. So you could say consciousness created the human, and in the human there's an idea of choice, but consciousness doesn't have choice. Consciousness isn't human, it's beyond human, it's all things and no things. So the idea that God is creating all of this and he's choosing all of this is an idea from us projecting onto consciousness, but consciousness is way beyond that. It's way more complex. It's the creator of all things, and it's way more mysterious. It's way beyond our ability to comprehend it. But often in spirituality there is this idea that we personify consciousness, and it's like you connect with that, and you make true choices, and we kind of get muddled up between the person and consciousness. What happens as there is the recognition of consciousness, the person becomes more clear and becomes more itself and becomes more free. But and so sometimes people think that is like the person has higher levels of consciousness, but only on the human level it has higher level of consciousness. It can't ever have higher levels of the absolute consciousness, because the absolute consciousness is always the same. That's confusing,
What I mean by choice, I don't mean that God thinks, have thoughts, and in these thoughts he chooses something. No, what I want to say is this every moment it's not just random, it's creation, it's conscious creation.
Yeah.
It's consciously designed.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, because if every moment, if the world is certain way and not another way, then it was created the certain way, the way it is. That's what I wanted to say by free will, free choice, to create the world as it is.
Yeah.
But I don't mean that the God thinks something like. I agree with you that this topic is more complex, and ultimately it can't be truthfully expressed in words.
Yeah, and the freedom is right here. It's in the looking. So there's all this thought going backwards and forwards between us, and these words going backwards between us, and there is this silent looking happening. It's looking at the words, it's looking at the character, it's looking and hearing Lisa, it's perceiving. It's right here, the perception. It's in this moment, it's so present. And there is this sense of I am. And the character has all these ideas of what it could be, should be, wants to be, doesn't want to be, what it should do or shouldn't do. And then the freedom is in all of that. It's in the perception. It's in the experience of it.
What would you say is more true? Is that who I am is the observer, or who I am is the process of looking, or who I am is the creator, or the process of creating, or more than this, all of this? Who I am? How would you answer this question?
So who you are is the creator of all of this, or the action of looking. Is that what you asked?
What?
What did you ask again?
Who am I? Who am I? How you can answer this question like most truthfully as possible with words?
This. What is?
What is?
What is?
I want to say another thing. I just come to me when you said that. I think it's common like idea in spirituality and non-duality that the world doesn't matter. If I am what is, then everything that happens is me too, and it cannot not matter. Everything matters.
Yeah, matters and it doesn't matter. I think it's both simultaneously. For me, anyway, whatever me is.
Yes, but you said previously that this idea that you can do whatever you want, it's not related to non-duality. I feel it's actually strongly related. Because when you do what you actually want, you how to say, you do the most right things with this world, and this world matters.
You what, sorry?
When you do the most right thing, the thing that you think is right, and this is what you want, what you actually want, then what you do is what is the best for this world, and this world it matters because it's like part of creation, of who I am.
Yeah, that's getting further. That's getting closer to the idea of in every given moment you need to do exactly what you want to do. Like in that idea, there is this. What's really important is this connection with everything, because then it's like when you're connected with everything, then there's a basis of love, or there's a basis of compassion, but not a self-centered compassion. When that's not present, then it becomes more dangerous, because when you're acting out the unconscious or the shadow, then there's other stuff that arises. But when you have more a oneness sense, then there's more a sense of coming from this love and this compassion. So you're not coming from hate and destruction.
I think this idea that it would be best if people just do what they want and be what they are actually are, and not hide behind like socially accepted persona. The fear of this like idea comes from notion that people, at least some people, for example, narcissists, as you say, they have more evil in them than good. It's like you don't trust people. If you trust people completely, then you wouldn't afraid to give them permission to do whatever, absolutely whatever the fuck they want. I think so. Actually, you mentioned narcissists many times. Many people say that I'm a narcissist, actually.
I was going to ask you actually what your level of empathy is. It's because it's very attractive to a narcissistic character to do this idea of do what you want to do, because the narcissist feels very suppressed by people's rules around them. So if they get permission to do what they want to do, then they unleash like all this fake empathy that they've been playing just to try to fit in or something. So they unleash this sort of more dark energy in themselves. So but I don't know, I'm not saying you are a narcissist, like I don't know why other people say that about you, but I did have the question arise, like what is your level of empathy, because it's very attractive, this idea, to people with lower empathy. It's also it's attractive to people with too much empathy as well. So if you go on the other extreme, because people that have got too much empathy, it's also very exhausting having too much empathy. So the idea of doing what you want to do is also attractive. So on these two extremes, it's more attractive. And this is where it becomes dangerous, because that's not what it's saying. It's not about that. Like, if you've got this more narcissistic or very high empathy, you need to go and you need to understand that first before you then begin to delve into what is your true wants. And then when you delve into what are your true wants, you still don't act it out. You do that with somebody, delve into what your true wants are and your true desires, but you need somebody there to bounce it back to you, because otherwise your mind's going to disorientate things and distort things. And then once you've done that, you then begin to slowly put it into practice, but under most probably the supervision of somebody else helping and watching and guiding you, because there's just too much possibility of going into shadow and going into dark stuff. So, I mean, it's a very dicey conversation, but essentially what it's pointing to is that as you become more free, and even when you expand more into consciousness, you become more authentically yourself. And that's the place that it's pointing to, is becoming more authentically yourself on the human level. So as there's more of an expansion into consciousness, the human then becomes naturally and organically itself, more like it was in childhood, rather than all these ideas of yourself, like idea of being a super fantastically nice person, idea of being a doctor, idea of looking a certain way in the community, of having children. So you're not living through these ideas, but you're becoming more organically what you were before all these ideas and this identification happened. But undoing that, I wouldn't do it just like getting this idea off the internet and then going for it and like jumping over the cliff edge and like, yeah, I'm gonna do whatever F I want, like, because there can be so much unconscious stuff there. I would do it under the guidance of somebody that's really, really wise. It's it can be really beautiful to explore this, but it's very deep. But that isn't what we're talking about in this talk. Like, that is an effect that can happen from awakening. That is an effect that can happen from this exploration. But what we're talking about in this talk is who is looking at that person that wants to do the F what it wants to do. Like, that is the true freedom. It's not about what the person does or doesn't do. It's about the stillness and the freedom that's right here in this moment, right now.
How what is can look at what is. Is there a difference between who is looking and what he is looking?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is when the world and everything begins to disappear. It's like really extreme subject. But I can feel that's enough today, because we're getting to 6:30, so I've almost done 2 hours speaking. That's enough for you.
I took a lot of time from you. So I wouldn't take any further. Okay, it was pleasant to.
Yeah, really, Leah, lovely to speak with you as well. I enjoyed your questions.
Yeah. For like to summarize, I would say I don't agree with you that you need to supervision, that you need to do everything safely. I think everybody will benefit if everyone will do whatever the fuck you want. But it's what I think honestly.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
thank
nice.
You. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for answering. Yeah.
Bye.